He had everything he needed to win, but he didn't. Not because he lacked talent, not because the world was unfair, but because of one quiet, deadly thing, an excuse. They said he could have been great. They said he had the gift. But year after year, he said the same words. Not yet. I'm not ready. Maybe next time. And by the time next time came, it was gone. Here's the truth nobody likes to say out loud. Excuses don't protect you. They poison you. They whisper that you're being smart, that you're being careful, that you're waiting for the right moment. But what they're really doing is slowly killing your dreams. Have you ever noticed how your mind tries to protect you when things get hard? You say you'll start tomorrow. You say you're tired. You say, it's not the right time. But here's the catch. It always feels true. Every excuse sounds logical in the moment. That's why it's so dangerous. Because while you're reasoning with yourself, life is moving on. The dream you said you'd chase one day, it's quietly fading. Think about this. Somewhere right now, there's someone doing the same thing you want to do. The difference? They started. They didn't wait to feel ready. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for everything to make sense. They just began. And while they were learning, falling, trying, and growing, you were thinking about it. That's how dreams die. Not in one big failure, but in 1,000 small excuses. Excuses are sneaky. They sound innocent. But every time you use one, you build a wall, an invisible barrier between who you are and who you could become. And here's the twist. The more you repeat them, the more you believe them, you start to think your excuse is your identity. You say, I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not talented. I'm not lucky. I'm not like those people. But guess what? Those people started exactly where you are. They had doubts. They had fears. They had reasons not to begin. The difference? They didn't feed their excuses. You see, your brain is wired to protect you from pain. It tells you to play safe, to avoid failure, to wait until you're sure. But here's the paradox. Waiting for certainty is the most dangerous risk you can take. Because while you're waiting to be ready, life is teaching everyone else through experience. And you can't learn from the sidelines. You learn by stepping in. You grow by failing forward. You succeed by refusing to let your excuse be louder than your purpose. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man named Aaron. He dreamed of becoming a writer. He had notebooks full of ideas. But he told himself, I'll start when I have more time. He said that at 20. He said that at 25. He said that at 30. Every year, he promised himself next year. By 35, he was still dreaming, still waiting for perfect moment. But by then, his dream had stopped waiting for him. One day, he found an old notebook in a drawer. On the first page, he had written, "This will be the year I finally start." He stared at the date, 10 years ago. His hands trembled. His eyes watered. That moment hit him harder than any failure ever could. He realized he hadn't lost the time. He had lost excuses. And that's the scariest part. They don't destroy your dream overnight. They just delay it long enough that one day you look up and it's gone. There's a reason excuses feel so comforting. They give you a story to hide behind. You can say, it's not my fault. You can say, I'll do it later. You can say, it's because of them, not me. But every excuse you accept steals a piece of your power. Think of it like this. Every time you make an excuse, you're handing your future to something outside of you. You're saying, my dream depends on conditions. My dream depends on luck. My dream depends on them. No, your dream depends on you. But that's hard, isn't it? Because taking full responsibility means you can't hide anymore. It means if your dream dies, it's on you. That truth hurts, but it also sets you free because if it's your fault. It also means it's your power to change. Imagine this. You're at the end of your life. You've worked, you've lived, but deep down there's a quiet ache. You start to remember all the times you said, not now. And in that moment, you realize you were never waiting for the right time. You were waiting for courage. But courage doesn't come before action. It comes after. Every dream you postponed, every idea you buried, every chance you didn't take. It's all there waiting for you to explain why. And what will you say then? That you were too busy? That you were scared? That it wasn't perfect? Would any of those reasons feel worth it when the time is gone? Excuses always sound smart until it's too late. But here's the twist. You can change everything starting right now. Yes, right now. Because no matter how long you've waited, the dream hasn't forgotten you. It's still there, buried under the excuses, the fear, the delay. All it needs is one decision. No more waiting. You don't need more time. You need more truth. And the truth is, you already have what it takes to start. You already know what to do next. You just have to stop believing the story that says you can't. The moment you stop making excuses, you stop giving your weakness a home. And that's when the real power begins. But the war won't end easily, because your excuses will fight back. They'll come disguised as logic. They'll whisper, what if it doesn't work? What if you fail? What will people say? And you'll feel that old fear rising, that voice that says, play safe, stay where you are. But here's what you need to remember. The voice of fear is loudest right before the breakthrough, because your old self knows you're about to outgrow it. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are not broken. You're just trapped in a cycle of comfort that feels like protection, but is really prison. And the only way out is action. The day your life changes isn't the day you make more money or get more chances. It's the day you stop lying to yourself. The day you look in the mirror and say, no more excuses. No more waiting for the perfect time. No more blaming anyone else. That's the moment you stop surviving and start living. Because every great story starts with someone who got tired of their own excuses. They got tired of pretending. They got tired of someday. So they did something most people never do. They took the first imperfect step. And that's where all greatness begins. Stand in front of a mirror for 30 seconds. Look into your own eyes. Ask yourself, am I doing everything I can, or am I just making excuses? You'll feel it instantly. Your reflection doesn't lie. It knows when you're giving your best and when you're hiding behind reasons. And that discomfort you feel, that's your real potential knocking. Because deep down, you know you were made for more. But potential means nothing without movement. And movement dies in the hands of excuses. Every successful person you admire, every athlete, artist, entrepreneur, or dreamer has one thing in common. They all had reasons not to start, but they started anyway. They didn't wait for motivation. They built it through consistency. They didn't wait to be confident. They gained confidence by doing. They didn't say, I can't. They said, I'll find a way. And that's what separates dreamers from achievers. Both have doubts. Both have fears. But achievers don't negotiate with excuses. Your mind can either be the creator of your destiny or the killer of your dream. The same voice that says you can't can be trained to say you must. But how? By catching every excuse the moment it appears. When your brain says, I'll do it later, answer back, no, I'll do it now. When it says, I'm too tired, reply, then I'll do it tired. When it says, I don't know how, whisper, I'll learn. Because every time you defeat an excuse, you build a new identity. One that doesn't wait for ideal conditions, but creates them. That's how warriors are made, not in comfort, but in resistance. Somewhere in this world, there's a graveyard filled with dreams that never saw the light of day. Dreams that died not because they weren't possible, but because their owners kept making excuses. Every maybe later. Every not yet. Every I'll start soon. Those words buried more dreams than failure ever did. Don't let yours be one of them. So here's the question. When the voice of comfort speaks, will you listen or fight back? Because one day, you'll look back and realize every excuse you made was just fear wearing a mask. The dream is waiting. The world is watching. And time won't stop for you to get ready. It's not about perfect timing. It's about deciding that this moment is enough. But here's the twist you didn't see coming. Even after you decide to act, excuses don't disappear. They evolve. They get smarter, subtler, more convincing. We'll expose their next disguise, the one that destroys more dreamers than failure ever could. Because the enemy you're fighting isn't outside you, it's the one inside. You think you've beaten your excuses. You decided to act. You're ready to move. You finally said, no more waiting. But then something strange happens. You wake up the next morning, and that fire you had, it's dim. Your mind starts whispering again, but this time it sounds different. Softer, smarter, more reasonable. It doesn't say, don't try. It says, just take it easy today. It doesn't say, you'll fail. It says, you deserve a break. And before you know it, you're right back where you started. The scariest enemy of your dream isn't failure. It's the lies you tell yourself to feel safe. These lies don't sound evil. They sound kind. They sound logical. They sound like self-care. But here's the truth. They're poison dressed as comfort. You tell yourself, I'll start when I have more time. I'll do it when I feel more confident. I just need to plan a bit more before I begin. Sound harmless, right? But every one of those lies buys your comfort a little more time and steals your dream a little more life. Because the moment you believe them, you stop moving. And the second you stop moving, your purpose starts to decay. The worst part, you won't even notice it happening. You'll just call it being realistic. But being realistic is often just another word for being afraid. Your brain is a master storyteller. When it feels fear, it doesn't tell you, I'm scared. It tells you stories that make fear sound logical. It says, now isn't the right time. You need to fix this first. You're not ready yet. But what it's really saying is, I'm afraid to be uncomfortable. That's the secret behind excuses. They're not a lack of discipline. They're a protection mechanism. Your brain wants to keep you safe, and anything new feels unsafe. So it disguises fear as reason. You start believing your own excuses because they sound true, and the more you repeat them, the more they shape your reality. Remember this. You don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. So if you believe your limits, you'll only ever notice proof that they're real. There was a woman named Clara. She dreamed of starting her own clothing line. She was creative, passionate, and gifted. But when the moment came to begin, she said, I'll start once I save more money. Then, I'll start after I learn more about marketing. Then, I'll start once I'm confident I can succeed. Years passed, and every time she was almost ready, a new reason appeared. Until one day, she realized something chilling. The perfect moment never came. She had built an entire life around almost ready, almost starting, almost becoming. That word, almost, is the graveyard of dreams. Because no one ever made history by being almost brave enough. Here's the dangerous part. The lies you tell yourself don't feel like lies. They feel true because your mind is clever. It mixes truth with fear so perfectly that you can't tell the difference. You say, I'm not lazy, I'm just not inspired right now. But deep down, you're just avoiding discomfort. You say, I'm not procrastinating, I'm preparing. But you've been preparing for years. You say, I'll do it when I feel ready. But readiness never comes before the leap. It comes from the leap. Every excuse you make is just fear in disguise. Fear pretending to protect you. And every time you believe it, you make fear stronger. Imagine spending your whole life lying to yourself, telling yourself stories that sound comforting in the moment, but slowly destroy you in the long run. At first, it feels safe, then it feels familiar, and finally, it feels permanent. That's what happens when you feed your excuses instead of your effort. You don't lose your dream overnight. You drift away from it slowly, quietly, without noticing, until one day, someone else is living the life you once imagined, and you tell yourself they were just lucky. But deep down, you know luck had nothing to do with it. They just didn't lie to themselves as long as you did. There's a moment in every person's life when they catch themselves mid-excuse. You'll be scrolling through your phone, wasting time, and your mind will whisper, you could be working on your dream right now. And you'll feel it, that sting of truth. You want to drown it out. You'll reach for comfort, distraction, anything to silence it. But that voice is your real self calling out. The question is, will you answer? Because the longer you ignore that voice, the quieter it becomes, until one day it stops calling. Not because it gave up, but because you did. Here's a secret very few people ever learn. The moment you start telling yourself the truth, brutally, unapologetically, the lies lose their power. When you say, I didn't work hard enough, I wasted time, I was afraid, I avoided it. It hurts, but it heals. Because truth may sting, but lies slowly suffocate you. Radical honesty is freedom. When you stop pretending, you start growing. When you stop defending your excuses, you start building results. And when you stop lying to yourself, your potential finally has room to breathe. Every dreamer fights two battles, one in the world and one in the mind. The world tests your strength. The mind tests your truth. Most people lose the second battle before they even face the first. They sabotage themselves with fear and call it logic. They quit before they try and call it wisdom. They give up on their dream and call it maturity. But wisdom without courage is just cowardice in disguise. The greatest war you'll ever fight is the one against your own excuses. Because until you win that war, you'll keep rebuilding the same prison, one excuse at a time. You want to change your life? Here's where it begins. Call yourself out. When you catch yourself saying, I can't, ask, is that true or am I afraid? When you say, I don't have time, ask, or am I wasting it? When you say, I don't know how, ask, have I even tried? Every time you challenge a lie, you weaken it. Every time you expose fear, you take its power back. Because growth doesn't happen when you feel strong. It happens when you face what's been holding you back and say, not anymore. There's a boy sitting in his small room. It's late. His notebook is open. He's staring at a blank page. He wants to write. He wants to build something. He wants to start. But he keeps telling himself, I'll do it when I have the right idea. Night after night, he waits for inspiration. But inspiration never comes. Until one day, he realizes the truth. It's not inspiration he's waiting for. It's courage. And courage doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing it scared. That night, he wrote his first page. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even good, but it was real. And that one imperfect page changed his entire life. Because once you start being honest with yourself, progress becomes inevitable. So how do you kill the lies before they kill your dream? Here's the formula. 1. Awareness. Catch your excuses the moment they appear. Don't judge, just notice. 2. Truth. Ask, what's the real reason I'm avoiding this? 3. Action. Do the smallest possible thing. Now, not later. 4. Repetition. Keep choosing honesty over comfort, even when it hurts. Over time, you'll notice something incredible. The lies lose their grip. Your excuses grow weaker, and the truth starts to feel natural. That's when momentum takes over. That's when you stop being your own obstacle and start being your own weapon. Your excuses aren't you. They're just stories you've repeated so often that you forgot they were lies. But the moment you stop repeating them, they fade. And underneath the noise, the fear, the self-doubt, there's a voice that says, I can, I will, I must. That's your real self. That's who you were before fear rewrote your story. Don't let those lies steal another day from your future. Because the cost of lying to yourself isn't failure, it's regret. And regret is the heaviest burden you'll ever carry. So here's the challenge. For the next 24 hours, don't make a single excuse. Not one. If something scares you, do it anyway. If something feels hard, start small. If something feels uncertain, try anyway. And watch what happens. You'll feel alive again. Because truth wakes up the part of you that excuses tried to kill. But be careful. Once you start living honestly, there's another trap waiting. One that looks even more innocent. It's not fear. It's not laziness. It's something that feels productive but secretly kills your progress. We'll expose it. The trap that keeps dreamers busy but not effective. The silent killer called distraction disguised as work. Because your excuses may have weakened, but the next enemy is smarter. You've stopped lying to yourself. You've killed the obvious excuses. You're finally doing something about your dream. But now, something strange is happening again. You're busy all the time. You're reading, researching, planning, organizing, tweaking, doing everything except the one thing that actually moves you forward. You call it working, but deep down, you know it's not progress. It's just distraction disguised as productivity. And this one's the hardest to see because it makes you feel like you're chasing your dream while secretly pulling you further away from it. We live in a world that worships busyness. Everyone's hustling, grinding, multitasking. But here's the truth. Being busy doesn't mean you're growing. You can be working 12 hours a day and still be running in circles, moving fast, but going nowhere. And the scariest part? It feels good. Your brain rewards you for activity, not accomplishment. So when you're doing things, even meaningless ones, you get a tiny hit of satisfaction. That's why you scroll, plan, and rearrange your to-do list instead of taking the hard action. Because deep down, it feels safer to look productive than to risk failure by actually doing the thing that matters. You convince yourself, I'm getting ready. I'm researching. I'm improving my strategy. But in reality, you're just polishing the cage of your comfort zone. Let's be honest. The hardest part of chasing a dream isn't starting. It's staying focused on what truly matters. And the biggest thief of focus? Fake progress. Fake progress looks like endless planning instead of execution, consuming information instead of creating results, redesigning, rebranding, rewriting over and over, saying, I'm working on it, but never finishing anything. You're not lazy. You're just distracted by things that feel important but aren't. It's like polishing your shoes when your house is on fire. It looks productive, but it's not saving you. There was a young man named Daniel. He wanted to start a YouTube channel. He bought the best camera, the best microphone, the best editing software. He watched tutorials for weeks, studied thumbnails, practiced lighting setups. Months passed. He had folders of research, but not one video posted. Whenever someone asked, he'd say, I'm still preparing. I just want to be perfect. But perfection was never the goal. It was a shield. He wasn't preparing to succeed. He was preparing to never fail. And that's the problem with fake work. It gives you the illusion of control. You feel busy, so you feel safe. But the truth, you're just hiding your fear behind productivity. This kind of fear doesn't freeze you. It motivates you in the wrong direction. It keeps you occupied so you don't feel guilty. It whispers, at least you're doing something. But you're not. You're avoiding the real work. The part that scares you because it exposes you to failure, judgment, or rejection. That's why fake work is more dangerous than excuses. Excuses you can see. Fake work hides in plain sight. It wears the mask of progress. It looks like effort, but underneath, it's just fear playing dress up. One day, you'll wake up tired, not physically, but mentally. You'll look at your to-do list, all the plans, all the almosts, and you'll realize you've been moving but not arriving. That feeling, that silent ache in your chest, is your soul realizes it's been busy but not fulfilled. You'll think back to all the hours spent researching instead of creating, all the days you prepared but never acted, and you'll wonder where all that time went. It's gone, spent on movement that never became momentum. Because the truth is, fake work robs your future in slow motion. You won't notice it today, but one day, you'll wish you'd done less preparation and more living. Real work feels different. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, it's full of doubt, but it moves you forward. When you're doing real work, you'll feel resistance. That's a sign you're in the right place. Fake work is smooth, safe, easy. Real work is raw, uncertain, real. Fake work says, I'm ready when I'm perfect. Real work says, I'll start while I'm scared. Fake work chases perfection. Real work chases progress. Fake work feels satisfying now. Real work feels rewarding later. And the truth is, if it doesn't scare you a little, it probably doesn't matter enough. If you want to know whether you're doing real work or fake work, ask yourself this one question. Am I creating results or excuses? If what you're doing doesn't lead to measurable progress, action, creation, delivery, it's probably fake work. Your dream doesn't need more preparation. It needs more courage. Because courage doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confronting the thing you've been avoiding. So if you've been planning your idea for months, stop and ask, what if you just did it? What if you launched now, learned as you go, and grew through imperfection? That's where success hides. On the other side of, I'll start once it's ready. Picture this. A runner stands at the starting line. She's trained for months. The crowd is cheering. But instead of running, she keeps tying and untying her shoes. She checks her watch, stretches again, adjusts her form. Everyone else has started, but she's still preparing. That's what most people do with their dreams. They stay at the starting line their entire life, busy getting ready for a race they never run. The world doesn't reward preparation forever. It rewards participation. So stop fixing your shoes. Start running. Here's how you break free. 1. Identify the real work. Ask, what's the one action that would actually move me forward today? Do that first, no matter how small or scary it feels. 2. Limit learning time. Set a boundary. 20% of your time learning, 80% doing. You can't think your way into confidence. You earn it by action. 3. Create deadlines. Without deadlines, fake work multiplies. A deadline turns dreams into commitments. 4. Measure output, not effort. Stop counting hours. Count results. It's not about how busy you are. It's about what you've built. 5. Kill perfection. Progress will always beat perfect, because perfection is just fear pretending to be excellence. Here's what no one tells you. You can waste your entire life working hard on the wrong things. You can spend years preparing, learning, fine-tuning, without ever stepping into the arena. And one day, you'll see someone who started with less, knew less, risked more, and wonder how they made it. The answer? They stopped preparing and started living. They understood something you didn't. Dreams don't come true when you're ready. They come true when you're relentless. You are not meant to just plan. You are meant to build. The world doesn't need your potential. It needs your action. Every idea sitting inside you is waiting for a moment of bravery. A single second when you say, enough thinking, it's time. That's the moment everything changes. Because once you take action, even messy action, you'll see something amazing. Momentum builds clarity. Movement builds confidence. Execution builds purpose. And the more you move, the less you'll need motivation. If you die with your dreams still in your mind, no one will ever know what you could have been. Not because you weren't talented, not because you weren't ready, but because you were busy. Busy planning, busy preparing, busy distracting yourself from the fear of starting. You didn't fail because you didn't try hard enough. You failed because you were almost brave enough. And the word almost will echo in your heart forever if you let it. So today, make a promise to yourself. No more fake work. No more endless planning. No more after I learn one more thing. Just start. Write the first sentence. Record the first video. Build the first version. Launch the first idea. Because the only wrong way to chase your dream is not chasing it at all. But beware, there's one last trap waiting. You've beaten excuses. You've stopped lying to yourself. You've overcome fake work. Now comes the final test, the hardest one of all. When you finally start to succeed, you'll meet a new enemy, an invisible one that whispers, you've done enough, slow down, you're successful now, take it easy. And that's how dreamers die satisfied, but unfinished. Will face that final battle, the comfort of success. Because sometimes the last excuse isn't fear, it's comfort. There comes a moment in every journey when you face yourself. Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends, just you. It's the mirror moment, the moment when the noise fades and you hear that quiet voice whisper, I could have done more. That's the voice of regret. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Because regret doesn't scream, it whispers. When you're older, when you're alone, when you see someone living the life you could have had, and it says, you had time, but you made excuses. Most people think dreams die because of failure. No, dreams die because of delay. Every time you said, "I'll start next week," "I'm not ready," "It's not the right time," you were giving your dream a slow death, a soft burial, one excuse at a time. And the worst part, you didn't even notice, because excuses don't look like killers. They look like comfort. They sound like reason. They feel safe, but they're poison disguised as peace. There was a moment after David's fall, after the months of silence, when he finally realized what he had lost. He looked around his empty apartment, the books he never read, the guitar gathering dust, the business ideas written on sticky notes that had turned yellow. Every corner whispered, "You could have been more." He had spent years defending his excuses, but now no one was listening. And in that silence, something broke. He picked up one of the notes. It read, "Start small, just begin." He smiled bitterly. Then something inside him whispered, "Why not now?" It wasn't loud, but it was real, and that's all he needed. The first step wasn't pretty. He failed again. He stumbled again. But this time, he didn't justify it. He didn't say, "I'll try later." He said, "I'll fix it now." That's the difference. Winners fail too, but they don't decorate their failures with excuses. They dissect them. They learn. They adjust. They rise. David learned something that changed everything. You don't need perfect conditions to start. You need courage to continue. He stopped chasing comfort and started chasing growth. Here's what most people never understand. Excuses aren't just words. They're walls. Every time you make one, you build another brick between you and your potential. And one day, you wake up trapped behind your own creation, wondering why your dreams feel so far away. But the walls aren't real. They crumble the moment you move, the moment you stop saying and start doing. Because the truth is simple. Your dream doesn't need your excuses. It needs your effort. There will be pain. There will be doubt. There will be nights when quitting feels easier than trying again. But remember this, pain is temporary. Excuses are permanent. The pain you feel today will build you. The excuses you make today will break you. Every second you waste defending your limitations, someone else is using that same second to destroy theirs. And that's the real difference between the person who almost made it and the one who did. Months later, David stood on a small stage, holding a microphone. His company wasn't global. His story wasn't viral. But he had built something real, something that started with nothing but a decision. And as he spoke, he said something that made the room go silent. "I used to think failure killed dreams, but I was wrong. It's excuses that do, because failure teaches. Excuses defend. Failure hurts. Excuses hide. Failure ends. Excuses never do." He looked into the crowd, and for the first time in years, he felt peace. Not because he was rich, not because he was famous, but because he had taken responsibility. He had stopped lying to himself. And in that moment, he realized that's when life truly begins. You want to know why excuses are so deadly? Because they feel fair. They sound like wisdom when you say them. "I'm tired. I'll start when it's the right time. I just need to feel ready." But readiness doesn't come first. Action does. And then readiness follows. You grow into your readiness. You don't wait for it. So stop saying someday. Someday is a thief. It steals everything you could be. Today is the only day you'll ever own. Right now is the only time you truly control. At the end of your life, no one will care what excuses you had. They'll only see what you did with your time. Your children won't remember what you said you'd do. They'll remember what you showed them was possible. And when the world forgets your name, your actions will still whisper, "He tried. He fought. He didn't give up." Because that's how legacies are born, not through perfection, but through perseverance. So here's the truth you can't run from. Excuses don't care about your dreams, but your dreams, they care about you. They're waiting right where you left them. They haven't died. They're just buried under fear, procrastination, and doubt. And if you listen closely, you'll hear them calling your name. This is your moment to answer, not tomorrow, not next week, now, because the longer you wait, the louder your excuses will become, and the quieter your dreams will whisper. But if you take that first step, if you move with faith, even when you're scared, something incredible happens. Your excuses lose power, your mind gains strength, and your dream finally breathes again. So remember this forever. Excuses sound best to the person who's making them, but they destroy everything that person could become. Don't let comfort trick you into wasting your life. Don't let doubt talk you out of your destiny. You're stronger than your story. You're greater than your fear. And you're closer than you think. Excuses kill dreams, but discipline revives them. Faith sustains them, and action fulfills them. So take one step, just one. And when you do, you'll realize something powerful. It was never the mountain holding you back. It was the whisper inside that said, later. Now silence that whisper and climb, because this is it. This is your time. This is your life. And there are no more excuses.